Oh great, googly moogly, I do love these Space Marine fellows. If you don't know what a Space Marine is, these are super soldiers that are basically the de facto mascots of the setting of Warhammer 40k, which is dark fantasy with sci-fi and lasers and lots of other cool stuff. But Space Marines are a lot more than just your classic sci-fi super soldier, even if they pretty much are the inspiration for most of them. With the original first edition of Warhammer 40k with Space Marines showing up years before things like Doom and Halo could revolutionize the FPS genre with their military green protagonists. Space Marines are heavily augmented humans that have a lot of stuff happen to them to get their powers. So we're going to go over the process of how you become a Space Marine, what it does to your body, and how rare it is to actually get through all of that. So, pray to the Emperor of Mankind for strength, because this is how you become a Space Marine. Also, if you like Warhammer and nerdy content like this, you should totally subscribe, so you can see more videos like this. So, the first thing you need to be is selected to be an aspirant for the process of becoming a Space Marine. And make sure you're not too old. Like, the lore says the best aspirants are from the ages 10 to 12, with the process ending at the ages around 15 to 19. You're gonna have to train to be a combatant at a fairly early age, which has no horrible implications, of course not. You also need to have the right genetic structure that is compatible with the implants and hypnotic suggestion that is done to these Space Marines, which is relatively rare. Some methods of selection are more unusual than others. Some pick from a home world or home system and get their best and brightest recruits. Some straight up just take people from worlds that are nothing but wastelands, while some nomadic fleet-based chapters will recruit from a few flavored planets on their normal stomping grounds, where they just kidnap people. Or sometimes you just straight up have your planet ransacked by Space Marines that style themselves after sharks in space, with them taking you and your planet's resources to keep their chapter running. And the recruits for the Black Templar have to go to a chapter keep. And the Blood Angels make warriors fight for the spot in ritualistic combat, with thousands being a part of the games and only 50 recruits being chosen. So just get as lucky or unlucky as you can get, and maybe you'll have a chance at being picked as one of these big, beautiful Space Marines. But you're not just there yet. There's way more you have to do. But first, at least for now, you have gained the title of aspirant, and the fun stuff can begin. You're going to get horribly ripped apart and mutilated. That's right, Space Marines have somewhere near 22 and 23 organs added to their body as part of surgeries, and with that comes an issue. Even if you're all cleared and you're seen as a reliable recipient, the stuff they put into your body might just straight up reject the surgery. It might mutate you or shuffle you off this mortal coil for a number of reasons. That isn't really what's important, though. It's the types of cool implants you're going to get and what kind of sick perks and powers that they give you. So let's go through them. They're pretty interesting. There is a unique first or last step for some chapters, like the Space Wolves and Blood Angels, where you slurp some gene seed, or at least a drink that has gene seed in it, as a ritual. This happens first thing for the Space Wolves and last thing for the Blood Angels. The first thing they actually put into you is a second heart, so you can survive your first heart getting blown up if need be, while also boosting blood flow and oxygen flow throughout the body. An osmodula is a small organ that makes it so you get longer, denser, thicker bones. Heck, you even get a ribcage upgrade that makes it so it's a bulletproof series of plates because it's Warhammer 40k and everything needs to be outrageous. You ever want more hemoglobin? Some that would really make your blood carry more oxygen, making your blood bright red. Well, that can happen with the Hammerstramen. The Larman's organ attaches cells to white blood cells, making it so injuries almost instantly scar over, making it so Space Marines don't often suffer from a lot of blood loss. With the Cataspellin node, you can go into a state of being half awake and asleep, staying fully cognizant while it happens. And you can not sleep for a while, making it so Space Marine only needs 4 hours of sleep a day, and make it so they can go 2 weeks without any sleep at all in extreme circumstances. The Preomener is used as like a secondary pre-stomach, making it so Space Marines can eat poisonous or otherwise indigestible food. It just makes me think of a Space Marine eating crayons. The homophagia is an extension of the brain that is nestled right into the spinal cord that lets you read information from other people's brains, gaining their experiences, which sometimes backfires, giving Marines a craving for blood and flesh, because you literally have to eat their brain to do it. Some chapters of Space Marines have certain rituals around eating
said biological material, though. It also packs something into you called the multi-lung that activates when oxygen starts getting a little more sparse in the environments you're in, like space or water. With the normal lungs closing off to let the multi-lung do all the work, taking in as much sweet oxygen as it can, while keeping the oxygen that's stored in their normal lungs inside, making it so a Space Marine has 3 sets of lungs, being particularly good against any kind of toxins that might be in the air, and allowing Space Marines to breathe underwater. The oculobe part adds a lobe to the stem of your brain that will make it so your eyes will be crazy good, while also being able to see in low light conditions. Lyman's ears give you immunity to dizziness and motion sickness. The Susan membrane is put above your brain and makes it so the Space Marine can enter a state of suspended animation if anything too bad happens to a Space Marine. This can keep a Space Marine alive for years in a form of stasis. Usually when a Space Marine gets this messed up, when you recover him, you put him inside of a dreadnought. The melanchromic organ makes it so Space Marines have more melanin in their skin, protecting their skin from radiation. Oolitic kidneys work with the Space Marines' twin hearts to filter blood so quickly that most poisons, or venoms, or toxins, or anything else in the bloodstream no longer have an effect on the Space Marine by cycling through blood very quickly. The process of detoxification usually knocks out the Space Marine for a while, making it so you can also probably use it to get some sleep. Neuroglottis lets Space Marines track targets using taste in the air and makes it so they can identify common chemicals by taste, like the freaks they are. The Mucranoid allows a Space Marine to sweat a liquid that makes them resistant to extreme heat and cold, even being able to help Space Marines fight in the terrifying vacuum of space. This organ needs to be turned off and on by outside treatment, though. Belter's gland are put into the Space Marines' lower lip or their soft palate and allow them to straight up make poison, a poison that they can spit. It's acidic enough that it can melt through strong metals if given the time. Space Marines aren't known for using it very often, mainly because they have other weaponry like their hands or bolters, but it can often be used to melt metals that they might be chained to, if given the proper time. The progenoids are 2 glands that are in the neck and the chest cavity that create gene seed. It's the only way gene seed can be produced. They absorb material from the other organs to make it, and it takes 10 years to make that second progenoid. These are usually taken out by apothecarians after a Space Marine has expired. So when you die, you will have your gene seed extracted. And Primaris Marines make gene seed faster because why wouldn't Primaris Marines be the best at everything? The black carapace is an implant that is put beneath the skin that is similar to black plastic that we put into the Space Marine's torso. It becomes one with the body, and once the organ is fully matured, neural sensors and interface points are put directly into the Space Marine's skin. This not only makes it so the Space Marine's a little bit more tanky, but their power armor becomes an extension of their own body instead of being a vehicle. Primaris Marines get a bit more surgery done to them too. Usually this is done during phase 3 of the surgeries, where they are given 3 additional implants that make them more genetically stable, larger, and more powerful, in the process that is called Primaris alpha and beta phases. Pseudocoils are cybernetic and make it so their muscles are reinforced with durametallic coil cables, allowing them to be stronger. The Magnificat is an amplifier that is put into the brain as a new lobe, making it so the body grows larger, and it's based off of how the Emperor made Primarchs, but just not as good. And by not as, I mean not even in the same ballpark. Lastly, the Belisarian Furnace is used to connect both of the Space Marines' twin hearts together, so they can get some chemicals manufactured to give them effects similar to combat stims on command. Space Marines are also put through stages of conditioning where they are monitored very carefully with chemical treatments, making sure the new implanted organs that a Space Marines have don't get horribly rejected from the body. Hypnotherapy is used to help an aspirant learn how to use some of those new organs. Hypnotherapy makes it so some of these organs actually start working in their bodies through unconscious metabolic processes. Indoctrination is also used so the Space Marines' minds are altered, making it so they're much more resilient mentally, can endure more pain that would outright kill men, and have lightning fast reaction speeds. And somewhere in there you'd also get rid of all sex drive. No need for that. Time to fight aliens. So let's go through some of the feats that are detailed in Warhammer 40k and Horus Heresy books. Space Marines have been cited as being able to carry 1.35 metric tons without being encumbered, being able to lift 2.7 tons with variable ease. Before the Primaris program, they can crack through thick ceramic that is high quality and incredibly dense. With their bare fists, they can open tanks like aluminum cans, and backhands can decapitate opponents and send them flying. Space Marines can move so fast that they cause a phenomenon in beings called transhuman dread, where they realize that a Space Marine, or anything that humanoid, should not be able to move that fast, be so powerful, tall, and armored to the teeth, but they are. With the brain pretty much realizing that they're fighting against demigods, it sometimes causes people to soil themselves. Space Marines are also resistant enough to just run through walls and be split in half and keep fighting, making them one of the most outrageous super soldiers in all of fiction. Neophytes are Space Marines that have just finished their metamorphosis into a Space Marine with all their fun surgeries and such. Usually Neophytes are put into the role of Scout Marines, as per ordered from the Codex Astartes, and once they complete their duty, they are promoted to fire support. Black Templars don't follow the Codex Astartes too closely though, and make it so Neophytes are trained under the command of veterans, making it so if Neophytes can't learn, they die, with chaplains deciding if Neophytes can be promoted into a Crusader squad and a fighting company. Space Wolves go and do something very similar, where they put their Neophytes in a group and tell them to explore their newfound strength against the enemies of mankind, with a Grey Hunter, an experienced veteran Space Wolf, watching over them. There are a few different ranks of Space Marines though. After Neophytes, there are Vanguard forces that are usually filled with Scouts, Battle Brothers that are usually fully inducted Space Marines that can do such things as be an Honor Guard or Standard Bearer, with the most experienced of these being in the first company of the chapter is Veterans, that sometimes also use Terminator armor. Sergeants command squads of Space Marines, lieutenants that work with the company captains but have a smaller demi-company under their control, and then captains that command an entire company. These captains gain the title of Master, and there's finally the Chapter Master that controls the entire chapter. There are some other ranks like the Psyker Librarians that are ranked as Caldum in training, and then Lexicarium as newbies, and then Apostolaries, Co-Divers, and then Chief Librarians. Chaplains are warrior priests that manage morale, discipline, and spirituality that are known as Reclusiarchs and Masters of Sanctity. Apothecaries are the medical specialists and can be Masters of the Apothecarion if they serve for long enough, commanding the chapter's Apothecarion. Tech Marines get to be the tech support, and there are also Forge Masters, Signal Masters, Judiciaries, and Chapter Ancients, and that's kind of what a Space Marine is and how you move up in the ranks as a Space Marine. Of course, we didn't go into their weaponry as much. I have a video about the Bolter, their main weapon that they often use, and at some point I will make a video on the armor that Space Marines use. But that's all the info I got for you guys on the physiology and classifications of Space Marines. What implant would you want to use the most out of the many I talked about in this video? I want the ones that makes you have denser, tougher bones, so I wouldn't be able to swim, but instead I could survive a car crash like it was nothing, only suffering some minor ragdolling. Make sure to tell me what you would want in the comments down below though. Also, if you have any requests for videos I should make for Warhammer 40k and content that is adjacent to Warhammer 40k, it would help me out a lot. Till next video, fellas.